All right, let's talk about the characters in Linoleum Blown Apart. My name's Gordon Eisen. I'm the creator of the on-demand series Linoleum Blown Apart. You will see this get made. Now take a look here. Linoleum, and you can see Blown Apart fits right underneath. Right? Blown Apart will be put together as one word. And doing things like that creates dialogue. I don't write dialogue, and I didn't come to Hollywood with a script. I developed it while I was here, while I was working and doing other things. That's when I wrote an entire album's worth of music, I did so while I was working full-time, and I was a full-time alcoholic. So, and again, I don't care about stuff like that anymore. I'm not interested in, redemption or anything like that. I don't need it. I move forward. And that's what we're doing here. And what we're doing is a character development. Now there's two characters. This is an on-demand series that you will see get made. It's called Linoleum Blown Apart. Here. You can see how it's set up. And yeah, of course, blown apart isn't one word, but is it? Right? If something blows up, it's blown apart. They put the words together. It causes a kerfuffle in the, English community. It should be hyphenated, it's like, right? You have two characters. You have Walter. Well, you have the band's namesake. I should have started here. Lionel. Okay? And I didn't put the years down, but whatever. You have Lionel. He is the leader of a punk rock band who finds his inspiration from Walter, a Kubrickian director. Like I said, the archetypes for Walter are Stanley Kubrick and Alfred Hitchcock. The ones for Lionel are Adamant and Darby Crash. Okay? So today we're going to look at the characters in the series. And don't pay attention to my ears. Shut up. All right. Walter, we have his father and his uncle. This is right at the beginning. He's born in 1915. Okay? He's born in 1950, so 15. So by the time Abel Gans' movie, Napoleon, 5-hour silent epic, which is a triptych, you needed 3 projectors to watch this. And that's what's so complicated about it. And the commander sees Walter, borrowing equipment and hauling it back to his father and uncle's warehouse, which is like it's a laboratory, because they know how to fabricate anything. They know how to do anything. They're like alchemists. Okay? But again, you don't know what happened to his mother. We can add that in later in a flashback series if we start developing Walter and, you start developing his character. Now, again, I'm leaving a lot of room in here, okay? And again, if we're flashing between Walter's life, Lionel's life, and we're using his films to do it, that's a lot of kinetic editing. Think of JFK by Oliver Stone. Think of U-Turn by Oliver Stone. Take a look at that editing. And we want to try to match that and then compare that to Tarkovsky's films. Okay? And I used Tarkovsky's film as a template for Scorpius XL. Okay? I was looking at that kind of stuff. Okay? That's his 2001. That's Walter's 2001. So the characters with Walter are his father and his uncle, and then there's the commander who sees him bringing this equipment back. And he's 15 years old here, right? So he gets kidnapped / conscripted to join the army. He has to join. He has no choice. And that's the commander sees him. And so Walter's job in the army is to get B-roll for their propaganda films. Now, again, this could be very similar to, there's like 4 different fascist countries. There's Spain, Germany, Italy, and Japan. They were all considered fascist countries. Okay? So we don't have to actually use Nazism or fascism or anything like that. We could create our own, right? We could create our own. Now, take a look at this. I'm just going to deviate a little bit. This is a classical education. Trivium, quadrivium. English, grammar, rhetoric, and then this is mathematics. So you have mathematics, mathematics in space, which is geometry, mathematics in space and time, right? No, mathematics in time, which is music. We have a lot of music in this. And mathematics in space and time, which is astronomy. Let's not forget that. I'm reading an alchemical manual by Agrippa, 15th century. He's an alchemist. The first thing that he talks about is God. These guys have an understanding of religion that has been bastardized over time, okay? I don't play into that. So I'm not interested in that type of stuff. I have a second property that we're developing. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. LA 2040. And I got some more ideas for that too. But anyway, so here we have the 3 and the 4. Classic education makes 7. Sacred 7. Walter has 7 films. Plato and Pythagoras. Now, you always think about the Pythagorean triangle. What is it? It's half of a square. That's what a Pythagorean triangle is. He's known for the triangle, but he's not. Plato is the triangle. Pythagoras is this. What else do we have? The Christ. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Right here. And what is he on? 4 sticks. This right here. Okay? That's the symbolism of the 7. Any alchemist from Newton, like I said, Agrippa, they all have an understanding of Christianity. Okay? What else do we have here? What did I talk about before as far as fascism is concerned? You have the peace and tranquility symbol, or the 4 feet, which is the swastika, and 4 feet could represent holy union, sexual intercourse. Okay? And they talk about that. It's called retention now. People talk about it online. It was called orgone. It was called the vril. If you don't spill your seed, then you build up this, what is it? It's like you build up this gumption. You build up your personality. It begins booming out of you. So if this is the full thought, this is the fascist swastika, then who's this? Einstein. You have Einstein versus the full thought. When they came together, right? You had progress in various directions. So again, Plato, because Plato said that atoms were triangles. Pythagoras, Pythagorean triangle, half a square. You have the 3 and the 4, and it makes 7. Walter has 7 films, the Sacred 7. Well, let's stick with Walter. Here with Lionel, we don't know. You know who we know? His drummer. His drummer lives with his mother, and the mother lets him practice there because the father died in a DUI accident. Freddie's an alcoholic, and the mother's an alcoholic. So it's not like they saw what happened to their father and loving husband and said, hey, I'm going to change. No, because there's some certain people don't understand. I had to spend 2 years sober in my loving parents' bedroom, that extra room that they had. 2 years, I had to just sit there. I was taking all this garbage medication and all this stuff, right? Before clarity sets in. And you realize, wow, I'm doing these patterns. I'm repeating these patterns. I'm repeating things that were imprinted on me when I was a child. Right? But you're not going to have that moment. You have to create it for yourself. No one's going to give that to you. Right? Back then was like the only thing you could do is go to AA. But there was no other alternatives to AA, right? And behavioral health, again, they're running it like the county jail. Yeah, it's just really disgusting. You know what they do in county jail? They harass you to try to make it terrible so you don't come back. I mean, people like that have no business doing that. The whole judiciary system is really, really terrible. I urge you to avoid it at all costs. Trust me. They're liars, LARPers, losers, and lunkheads. And it's really awful. But anyway, so, right? And then you have Roxy. Roxy, man, there's another female character, and I can't remember her name. It's been a while since I read my treatment. And Roxy, you might see her father once. Okay? So with Lionel's life, you have these main characters. Then you have Max. Roxy and Max, they don't F because Max has a family. But they become fast friends. Like, it's very avuncular. He's in his 30s. She's like 17, 18 years old. And you would think that they're having a sexual relationship, but they don't. For some reason, they just hit it off. Like he's her uncle that she never had. He's the father. Her father is maybe a little bit more feckless. Max is a go-getter. Okay? And the reason Roxy is sexual is because she eventually starts her own business. And that's really what she wants to do, but she doesn't know how to express that. The only thing she knows how to express is her sexuality. There's a lot of women like that, okay? There's a lot of men like that too as well, right? Okay? And then you have this goth girl, I can't remember her name, and she's dating somebody in another band, and she leeches onto Lionel, right? She leeches, whatever, right? That's in the 80s to the 90s, right? So with Walter, you can see the characters here. Now, once he gets conscripted, that's a long time. It's 10 years that he's going around, he's getting B-roll, okay? And again, he doesn't have to be from Germany. He doesn't have to be he can be from Spain, but he doesn't have to be, okay? This could be completely fabricated, and that's why I bring this up. We could fabricate this however we want to, right? Because we have the template. That's what we're creating here, the template, okay? And so during this time, he meets Eva, who's going to eventually be his wife. And she has a theatrical group of about 3 or 4 guys. One of them is her brother, and he is LGBT. And that is part of their theater that they show. Vivisection on the Danube. They write a play. They put it on. It's about a rocket club who sends off a rocket, and they crack the firmament. They crack the sky, right? And someone from the Palladian system comes down, which might be the North Star. I think it is. I don't know. Guys, I'm trying to learn as much as I can. Comes down as an alien and hooks up with the guy in the rocket club. Fascists show up. They're like, what's going on here? This is their play. And then they find the body. It doesn't have any eternal organs. The alien took the eternal organs and took them away back up to the sky. Sounds convoluted, but that's what they talk about when aliens come down. They used to have animals that were like cows that were missing their organs. You guys remember any of this? Just like when you have crop circles and all that. So it's a throwback to that. Their play gets shut down, but Walter notices Eva in her theatrical group after they close the play down. Eva recognizes Walter as one of the fascists. She doesn't know his backstory. And so him convincing them that, hey, I was conscripted, I was kidnapped, my father and uncle are still, they're on lockdown. They're locked down. They haven't been sent to a concentration camp yet, but they can't leave their property. And all their stuff got raided, stolen, because of the ensuing war. So what does he do? Well, he starts to rebel. right? Obviously, he starts hanging out with Eva, and he's like, well, I'm shooting a film. I'm shooting all this B-roll. Why don't we shoot a movie of your play? And so they start rewriting the play. Okay? They start rewriting it. And eventually, when the SHIT hits the fan, Walter escapes with all the notes and all the B-roll. And he shows up. I can't tell you certain things. He shows up. He takes a steamer trunk. He goes to see his father and uncle. This is in the, I think it's in the one that I wrote. And they forge some papers for him. And they say, listen, if you're ever in trouble, here's some documents. You can show these documents, right? And you could try to leave. But he doesn't want to. But once they find out that he's been checking out film, there's like, where's all this film? And he thinks he's getting over on him. Obviously, they're going to find out. He has to escape, so he escapes, and he comes to America. Well, zany hijinks ensue, because who is going to show up with a case, a trunk, a steam trunk full of negative film? Who has negative 16 or 35 millimeter film in a steam trunk and a bunch of notes, you know, in a valise or whatever? Nobody. So when he shows up at a film studio, he's exhausted. He catches tuberculosis. Like he's sick. He's got a fever. He can't keep his eyes open. He's drowsy. Right? He's been on a steamer for like 2 to 3 months, and he's sick to death. So when he lands in San Francisco, coming through the Northwest Passage, he just gets in a cab and he tells him, I'm going here. Okay? So when he shows up, he's passed out. And they look and they see the trunk. Okay, he's got to go to the way they sent me to Duarte. This is how this began. Remember, I was going to write a musical, and this could still be this isn't a musical. There's music in it, but we're free. We're open. This is going to be 3 seasons. That's it. We're just shooting for 3 seasons. If it takes off after that, then we could start rewriting from there. But we can have an episode that's actually a musical episode. None of these are going to be musical. They're just going to be like a regular series where people come on and they talk and they complain and people get murdered and whatever else, right? Right? But we could have a musical episode where most of it is being sung. People love musicals now. It's insane. They love them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's great. So, and again, LA 2040, it looks like some of my characters and some of my other ideas are going to go into that. Okay? I was trying to pitch Tarantino on Nicholson and Dimes to see if he's got any notes on that. I would be interested to see his notes on Nicholson and Dimes if he was going to do like... And it doesn't matter if him or Avery have a certain amount of films that they're going to do. They could still open a production company. You understand? And I'm hoping maybe Paramount will get involved. I posted something about Paramount. The lawsuit that Trump is tying to CBS is tied to Paramount. It's $10 billion. That sounds like a bailout to me. Okay? It's a bailout disguised as a lawsuit. Okay? And the reason they have to disguise it as a lawsuit because people are so partisan now. They see the exoteric, just like these Christians, they don't see the esoteric nature of really what's going on. People like me can see that. Okay? And they say, if you know something, keep your mouth closed. Well, take a look at my audience. I get maybe 10 people watching this, and I watch it 10 times to take notes. So, right? Okay? So he shows up, and he is, beep, beep, I don't know. I guess that's pretty old, but what are you going to do? He's 15 here, and then another 15 years goes by. He's close to 30 years old. That's like me when I was a production assistant and an actor in New York. I was like 30 some odd years old, and a lot of people coming in doing the same thing I was doing were 21, 22. Right? Shut up. Talk about me. I'm trying to do something with it. It's just, shut up. Right? So he's stroking 30. He finally gets there. He's exhausted. One of the guys who are based on the Warner Brothers similarly, because there has to be more than one brother. That's the whole point of his film company that he goes to, right? With all that, with all those negatives. And they're just like, well, how did this guy get in here? Who the fuck is he? And like, pardon my language, but they're like, well, where else would he go? He's got all this film. Excuse me. So it's this big kerfuffle. And then obviously one of the brothers, the main one, he's like, we got something. We got something here. This is like that fell in their lap. What a lot of people don't understand is that the Three Stooges actually floated Paramount, I believe Paramount Pictures, for quite a while when they weren't doing so good. They were in the, they were in the red. They weren't in the black. Or however, right? They were in the red, and they weren't doing good, and the Three Stooges floated them. So it's a similar situation. So when he shows up, it's a godsend. And he's like, well, wait a minute. And so he's got all the notes of reasonable service. This first film, Walter's first film, isn't even really Walter's first film. Because they take him, they make it. The studio makes the film, is what I'm trying to tell you. And they prop him up as the Wunderkind director. You see this? Because all they're doing is they're making sure he knows how to work the equipment. They take him to the various sets. They take all of his notes. They turn it into a script because of the writers. They're like, listen, get on this. Choom, 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 choom. They got 8 guys working on just the script. They got an entire studio to set up each scene. They bring in Walter during key scenes. And they basically assemble this film of reasonable service based on his notes. Now, it's all his stuff, his idea. Him and his wife, Eva, and the other people in the theatrical company who are left behind in the fascist country. There's no way to figure out what happened to him at that time. You'd have to get a postcard or, whatever. It takes a while. So, right? Boom, this comes out. And Walter's just as amazed because he's learning the studio, and that's what they did. They took him all through the studio, they put it together for him, and they said, this is his film. Look, he's a great director. And he's like, oh, thanks. Right? So he has that element of, how you doing, old boy? But what am I doing here? Okay, that's who I am? Sure. Oh, yeah, sure. Right? And that's what influenced me when I was a kid. My babysitter was Bill Kennedy at the movies in Detroit. Okay, make no mistake about that. Okay, so I watched all those 1940s movies, and we loved the cartoons we watched were Bugs Bunny, and that was all based on 1940 stuff, right? That's how I got into marooning, where he's putting somebody down for calling them a maroon. That means they're not originally from there. And then I got into the Red Man, R-E-D-E, the Reed Man, which you're not red. It's not a different person. They were marooned there years ago. Hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 years before. We don't know. Okay? But what we do know is that maybe these two are coming together, right? You have music and you have the English language. These two are the 3 and the 4. He's the music guy. What's in film? Dialogue. It's all writing. This is all music, mostly. So we have our Sacred 7. He makes 7 films. And this is just a few of the characters. I want to remind you guys of the characters. Okay? All these characters are very important, except for the goth girl. I can't remember her name. Shit. Damn it. Right? This is going to be Lionel's girlfriend. And Roxy and Lionel you see them have scenes together and their ships passing in the night. They make out, but they never seal the deal. She's too alpha, and he wants to be an alpha. There's an alpha inside of him. His band is called Linoleum, Blownapart. He gets what? A Napoleon complex. He doesn't get a Napoleon complex because he's short. He gets a Napoleon complex because he gets a taste of power. And he says, I want more. And he starts demanding more control. Hey, I write the songs, not you. These are my songs, right? This is my publishing, and you hear that all the time. I mean, you guys take a look at, Guns N' Roses and bands like that. I mean, the big one was, I think, Jane's Addiction. Take a look at Jane's Addiction. They held out. Each band member got $1 million each. That was a big deal. When they got signed to Warner Brothers, that was a great record. This great album, Nothing Shocking, and they each got $1 million. That was a huge thing. So this is based on that, right? Roxy starts a record label. Max opens up a rehearsal/recording studio /record label with Roxy. Max's father is named Dino, based on a guy I worked with. I watched him pistol whip a guy back in the day. It's pretty cool. I put it in my book, Two-Legged Animal. Check it out. And he's an old gangster. Max is his bastard son, right? He's the Hiram Abiff. But it's different because he's going to get to know his father again. Dino has 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl. Okay, and they're older than Max. Max is the baby, and the father was having an affair with Max's mother. We're going to get to know Max's mother, too. She's another character I should have put up here. Okay? But we're running out of time. I do half-an-hour shows. That's all I do. I'm not going to waste any more of your time than a half an hour. My treatments are 30 pages. We're working on LA 2040. It's a futuristic on-demand series, or it could just be a single film. I don't know. I'm not a film guy anymore. I used to be. LA 2040 is about predictive programming. They're going to put in there now, what is it, 2025? The maths. We got 5 years to get it together. Linoleum Blown Apart, it could be in pre-production. It could take a while because, in my opinion, you have to shoot all 7 of his films. And we only got up to the 1. And I wanted to let you guys know on a little secret. He doesn't even... They attribute this to him, but it gets made right under his nose because he's in a whirlwind. He's learning all this stuff, right? He knows his stuff from working with the fascists. He was doing it anyways, doing B-roll. But he's like, wow, he's in a big studio now. He has to learn the studio. And that's going to lead to a second film, which is called Pork Chops and the Who's Gal. And there's other characters. There's more characters. And that's based on a Jim Thompson type writer, tentatively named Grabowski, right? It might be a little bit too close to the Big Lebowski, but there's nothing wrong with it. There's people named Grabowski. You got to look it up in the white pages, right? So, there you have it. Here you have the 3, and you have the 4. Now, this I'm discovered by mistake here. This I discovered on my own. Like I said, I read a lot about, I'm Wiki Alma Mater, and I read a lot about the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks and the Gnostics created Christianity. I'm here to tell you. There's more Christian thought and ethos in Greek and Gnostic cultures than there is in any other previously, thought about derivatives of where this came from. There is no doubt. We have the 3 and the 4. Walter makes 7 films. I got way more than 7 songs for Lionel. And yes, because it's 1987 to 1997, we will make fun of him with Lionel Richie's Dancing on a Ceiling. right? And silly stuff like that. And again, we don't have to have the fascist insignia. We can create it. We're creating the fashion for Lionel. This should be a wardrobe person's dream job, and a set decorator and a set designer's dream job is Linoleum Blown Apart. Please spread the word if you can. And I just want to say thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know.